Jordin James. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's so good to be here.
Yes, twice. So you were on with Joseph. I think I released that as of this recording. So this is coming out in May. I think I released that last week, which was a beautiful episode with you and Joseph. And y'all listen to that. It's I don't know what episode 135 or 136 if y'all are listening. So yeah, super excited to have you back.
Yeah, I couldn't stay away.
Yeah, I know. Lucky me, lucky me. So we were chatting before we came on, and today we have no agenda other than we or I would really, and hopefully, you're down with this. I think you are, is to talk about this thing that's happening right now in the coaching space about polarity and about femininity and masculinity. And the reason I think I've talked about this on a solo episode before, and the reason I wanted to get with you about this is, first of all, I love your brain. I love the way that you help your clients heal, and I love the way that you think about parts. And parts is a big part of what I do too. And my intention really today is to talk about my experience with this whole polarity thing and the femininity. Feel free to share whatever you want here, Jordin, but
Yeah, I'm down to be vulnerable, so let's
yeah,
let's dive in.
let's get feminine. um, so yeah, I mean, I don't know where you want to start really. I mean, I can say one of the reasons for me that this is really important is because I have been healing. This is something that I went through with kind of just rediscovering who I am, my authenticity and my femininity, is that I really, it's hard to describe, but I really went through this phase where I went through this trauma because I was trying to be this person, this feminine person that
Yeah.
everyone else told me to be again. Again, what the fuck? Even I've gone through, I've done a lot of healing. I help clients heal. And there was some femininity within me that did definitely come out, for sure. But then there was this another layer that the A+ student part of me, or the perfectionist part of me, really, really latched onto with the shit on Instagram, people, saying, oh, you're too much and you're masculine or whatever it is. And I really put myself through another layer of trauma because I was trying to be again something that someone told me that I was supposed to be. So I guess I'll just open that up
Oh,
and see
so
what comes up.
relatable. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, I think what's missing in the conversation is how traumatizing it can be to be feminine in our society,
Mm,
especially for those of us feminine creatures who have had to lean so much on our masculine to survive. Entering, tiptoeing back into our femininity again can be scary as fuck
mhm,
because that is often where some of our deepest trauma lives.
mhm,
And so last year I took a course because I was like, all right, it's time. Like this polarity thing is calling me, this femininity thing is calling me. It's time to start unearthing some of this inside of me and exploring it. And so I took a course by Sophie Josephina. Man, she's the real deal. Like I really appreciate the way that she holds the conversation. But I could not start that course for a long time even.
mhm,
Like I felt like sick to my stomach when I started thinking about entering my feminine again.
mm,
I realized how repressed I had made those parts of me. And how tangled in significant trauma they were.
mm,
And so I think it is kind of I don't know if I want to say damaging, but it is something to pay attention to that the, the a lot of the polarity talk isn't necessarily trauma informed.
mhm. Well, I'm noticing now, I don't know if you have, but I'm noticing now even people that are our peers saying that they're trauma informed. I guess let's define what's trauma informed. before we start that conversation. So maybe we can lay some groundwork. I
Yeah.
can say, like, for me, the way that I define it is really just the awareness of each, like, your specific experience. So like if I'm coaching you, it's like your experience is special, it's unique. There's no right or wrong answer. Like that's not judge or jury. It's you have your authenticity in you, you have your voice, and there's nothing that I can tell you what to do, but I can help you kind of unlayer and find that. That's
Mhm.
like, not what I normally like. I wasn't prepared really to define trauma informed, but that's the way that I think about it. How would you describe? You're
Yeah.
good. You're a lot better with words than I am.
Well, I've thought about this in particular because I'm like, yeah, what does it mean that I'm trauma informed? Like, that's okay. That's nice to say, but like, what does it actually mean? And for me, that means I'm not going to make any part of you bad or wrong.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
That I see every single part of you as only ever doing their best to love and be loved and to keep you safe.
Mm-hmm.
And that I am going to honor your yeses and your nos, and we are going to go at the pace of your most afraid part.
Mm-hmm.
Because actually, that's the part that needs the most love and trust building right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, trauma informed is being able for me to separate the part from the burden it's holding. So I can see the part underneath the pain. I can see the part underneath the response.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I've been thinking about this lately too. This must tie in because this is what's coming to me. And I know this is all over the place, but we're in our feminine space, so just allow us
Yeah,
to be,
that's
my
right.
friends. Uh,
Yeah.
but what's also coming to me too is that I feel like a lot of the, like, if you're listening to this and you know about parts, if you don't, I don't know if you know this, Jordin, but I had Frank Anderson on the show.
I
Um,
was gonna talk to you about that.
it was
Yeah.
dope. He's
Oh
amazing.
my
So
God.
dope. But
Love
it was
that.
a while. I mean, it was a while ago. It was like a year and a half ago. And like so much has changed since then too, like as we do. But so if you know about internal family systems a little bit, y'all, like go listen to that episode. I'm sure that you do if you're listening and in this space and have hung with me for this long. But what I've been realizing too is that a lot of the people that are out there in the polarity space, or even in the self-development space,
Mhm.
they coach to the managers. They don't coach to the XI.
That's right.
And so with the managers is a lot of times it's override. A lot of times
Mhm.
it's, the managers, a lot of times it's like, don't touch this like really, really scary part because whatever, it's not ready or it needs another job or whatever it is. But that's what
Mhm.
I've been realizing too. And I feel like that's the tie-in maybe for me, is that the polarity space is talking about, this is what you should do to be feminine, this is what you should do to be masculine, this is what, like if you're not doing that, you're doing it wrong. And I only know because I went through that shit, and that fucked me up so badly. And like in this relationship that I'm in, even at the beginning, is that I was overriding the needs of my most wounded parts, the ones that
Yeah.
need to be seen and heard and understood. I wasn't even doing that because I was overriding, because I was doing what I should be doing to be feminine. Does that make sense?
Oh, that makes complete sense. Yeah. I just in general, my parts get caught into that trap too of like, oh, this is what we need to do in order to like get what we want. Okay, we'll become that. But it
Mm,
is like it it takes me far away from home when I do that. It takes me far away from my truth and my tenderness and my, relationship with myself and my foundation. And that is something that I've got to watch myself on all the time because I don't
yeah.
think everybody out there needs to be trauma informed. Like, I don't think everybody out there has to, like, I would love it. I would absolutely love that. But also, not everybody's here to have that conversation in this lifetime, I don't think.
True.
And so I think, like, but what I do want to bring to the conversation is the people who are struggling with manager override, that are struggling with shame of not being feminine enough or masculine enough for that matter, like where they have a place to have this conversation in a way that's going to honor all of their parts.
Yeah. Or the people, I think too, that feel like that there's something missing.
That's
Right. And
yeah.
they don't know what it is. Or like for me, when I first started kind of getting into really kind of deeper into this work, is that when I knew what I was supposed to be doing, but I couldn't do it. And that's when that level kind of opened up to me, is that like, well, I'm, like, there's no other answer. There's something, there has to be another way. There has to be an answer too.
Yes. And I think what's a lot of what's modeled out there in the polarity space, especially with the feminine, is very extroverted femininity.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And feminine that is comfortable with taking up a lot of space, like starfishing in the outside world, like the feminine that is yeah, that is just maybe more vocal with her emotions in general, or that just takes up a lot of space in the outside world. And there's nothing wrong with that sort of feminine, but also there is a different kind of feminine as well that's introverted, that is tender, but also that like she can be strong in her own right, but like it might just not be as out there, and she might need a lot of space before she feels safe opening up, because her inner world is so rich.
Mm-hmm. I'm raising my hand.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing that I had to keep as I was doing this journey. I had to keep telling myself, okay, no, it's not like I need to be more like them. I need to find my own flavor of what they have.
That
Mhm.
that that's the biggest lesson for me, I think, through, and again, like, duh. But also at the same time, it's like, that, like, that performance part, the A+ part, the perfectionist part, it's like you're saying, like, it's so, yeah, I mean, I also have to be very careful with myself too, like, where my energy is it on the inside, or is it on the outside with the performance and all of that stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, because with the performance, for me, like that is an attachment-based wound.
Mhm.
Like that is a wound of how do I need to perform in order to be loved? And
Yes.
so I think especially when we bring that into the polarity conversation, into the femininity conversation, it can get really distorted and wonky when we're trying to perform femininity from a place of like trying to like, be
Mm.
of love, right? Like that, it can just like get real intense real fast.
Girl, I'm a good performer. I tell you what,
Mhm.
that part of me is so good and so strong. And I'm being like completely
Clever.
vulnerable. And it's, yeah, I mean, it's for real. And I think, that what's scary, I think, about that is that you do get short-term results from that. And I'll be
Oh,
real.
that's great. Oh, I just got chills.
That's what's scary to me.
Yeah.
But then when something fucked up happens, or there's like a lull or a break, or even, like a complete separation or whatever, man, shit's
Yep.
scary.
Yeah, the way that it feels is like when I'm performing, it's like I'm on a stage and I'm like performing well, like because usually I perform well. If I'm like trying to perform something, we know how
We
to
good at that.
we're good at it, right? Yeah. Or but like meanwhile, while I'm doing this performance, I think I am that person, but
Mm,
there's something in the back of my mind that's like I am terrified of the curtains opening up and everybody seeing who I really am, how
mhm,
messy I really am, that I don't actually know what I'm doing.
mhm. Just another way to control the situation for that part of you.
Yeah.
Just
Mhm.
another way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so I'm really glad we're talking about this because I think there is a way to access more of your true polarity, like your flavor of your polarity. And it might not look like anybody else's. And that is a fruitful path to walk down.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yes. Yes. That's been a lesson for me as well lately, is that, you know, there's this whole thing about, and okay, walking on thin ground, I feel like right now. So we'll see where this goes. But there's like this whole thing about, um, for example, men need to hold space for women so they can be messy, right? So what the fuck does that mean? Like,
Uh-huh.
you know what I mean? For like, before, I guess before I had this like unlayering, this unraveling within myself about like what it means, what femininity means to me, the way that that the part of me held on to that was like, okay, well, if he just comes and I can be just messy as fuck and, for lack of a better term, y'all, I'm going to use this in quotes, crazy, and everything will be fine. And he's just going to make my life better just because, so I can just express myself, and then he'll save me. Like, I feel like a part of me, thought about it like that. Does that make sense? And
Yeah,
for
that
me,
does.
that has not transpired at all.
Mhm.
At all. I think like that does not work for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. Yeah. Yeah. That doesn't necessarily work for me either. Be because I think there is an element of the feminine, the mature feminine who is capable of her masculine holding her
Yeah.
own energy with being good to her. And then she can go to her partner and say, "Are you available for this or not? Are you
Mm,
available to hold space for this or not?" And
mhm,
that way he gets a choice. Because that is a big thing about the masculine is like he has an oath to freedom.
mhm,
And so if he's always got to be holding space for you, like that inhibits that oath to freedom too.
mhm,
And so it's more about, being explicit with your partner about when that dynamic is
mhm.
fruitful and when it isn't.
Totally. Yeah, I think about that too, about yeah, my inner masculine holds space for my inner feminine. My inner masculine leads. And this isn't to say, like, again, like star slash asterisk, like this isn't to say that you shouldn't co-regulate with your partner, or ask for support from other people, and you don't always have to be like so self-led. But I feel like for me it's become intuitive. It's become like the layering, like that delayering and the healing that I've been doing, it's become intuitive of where my inner masculine, is able to hold space for my inner feminine, but my inner masculine also is able to ask for support.
Mhm.
And that's where I feel like my inner masculine works with his masculine in this like divine triad with God. I don't even fucking know, but like, it's
Uh-huh.
like this beautiful thing where I am self-led, but then I'm able, like you're saying, to get consent to like to ask for support, or
Mhm.
whatever. Like the other day, for example, like I got really triggered about my body, and he noticed it, and he's like, what's going on? I'm like, I just got really triggered about something. I saw a picture, and my whole it
Oh,
went
I've
down a
been
road, went down
been
a road.
there.
Went
Been there today. I'm
Yeah,
sure
went
it's
down the road.
probably.
That was like a couple days ago. And he knows now to be like, well, how can I support you? Like the 5 sexiest words that anyone could ever say to me. And what I needed to hear, or that what that part of me needed to hear, is you're perfect as you are. Right.
Mhm.
And the inner masculine has helped with that, because it brings me, it's like almost a protective barrier. Like it brings me back into myself so I can do that introspective work, and then allows me to ask for what I need, and then my inner feminine receives. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes complete sense to me. And like it's on point because also what needs to be brought into this conversation is the the immature masculine that has been running our culture for a very long time. It is not safe to be feminine with an immature masculine
Truth.
because being feminine is being so open to life and letting life move through you.
Mm-hmm.
If you have an immature container for that, or a container that is going to make you wrong for the life that's moving through you,
Mm-hmm.
it is not safe to be feminine.
Mm-hmm.
We wonder why so many women are masculine. It's not
Mm-hmm.
our fault.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it is wise for us to go slowly in allowing our feminine to open up, because giving our feminine the message of you just need to be more open. You need to be more open. You need to receive more. Isn't that the same message that the patriarchy gives women? You're not sexual enough. You're not open enough for me. Like you need to be more open. You need to be more
Just
available.
receive.
Yeah.
Just receive. It's super easy. Just receive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that can be received as the same voice that the patriarchy uses for women all the time and uses to manipulate them.
Yep.
So I think our inner masculine is wise to first mature his own discernment of
Mhm.
when it is safe to allow her to open and when like he needs to protect her.
Mhm. Yeah. That is definitely, yeah, 100%. That's been a very juicy thing that's been
Yeah.
happening for me. It's been so
Yeah.
good.
Uh-huh. I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Mhm. What other things are we I know those are the things that are really, really up for me with that. Um, I guess what would you say to someone, um, that yeah, I guess that does feel like that something's missing. Maybe they've been through like personal development for a while. Maybe they know like there's it's this constant thing in their head like I'm too masculine, you know. What would you I don't obviously it's, you know, very individual, but like anything coming up for you about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say um it's time to validate your masculine for
Mm,
how much he has carried you. It is time to like meet him where he's at instead of making him wrong for showing up in the way that he's showing up,
mm,
to actually thank him for his years of service
yes, wow.
and to start building a relationship with him where you can share your intentions of, well, we've got our girl in here and like it would be nice for us to experience the wholeness of our core polarity.
Mm,
And so, like, what do you need, inner dude, to be safe enough to step back so she can come forward?
mm,
What are you afraid that would happen? Like all of those sorts of questions.
mhm. Or yeah, I love that. Thank you. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
And I would add to that, like with my experience, is that I've given my inner masculine different new jobs.
Oh, say more.
New jobs, like I don't know, like about my schedule, for example. Right.
Mhm.
So there are parts of my schedule that are very, very protected. And my inner masculine helps me with that because it like, for example, this is, I love this. I've been doing this practice for like 2 years, but every Sunday is what I call my alignment day. And my inner masculine protects that like a motherfucker. Like, no people, no, and I don't do screens. All I do is read and play music and like look outside
So
and
lovely.
watch, you know, watch the hummingbirds on my patio. And my inner masculine helps me do that because it sees how full I am the neck, like it fills me up that whole day. And when I get bored, that's when I know I'm rewiring my nervous system and my brain. But it holds that space because it sees how free I am as a whole the whole week. Right?
Mhm.
It fills me up the whole week to hold space for people, to be love, not to show love, but to be love.
Yeah.
Like that's just an example, but that's a new job that I've given it. And it's like more than willpower, y'all. It's like more than that. It's like it's a protector. It's a protector of that space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
That's just
that is so hot. Like that is the mature masculine of
mm-hmm.
like, no, like I'm holding this container for my girl because I see how alive it makes her.
Mm-hmm. That you just gave me the chills.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And this is what I love about polarity. I mean, because like I spend so much time in the inner world and I spend so much time thinking about the inner world, it can absolutely apply to your relationship with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is especially hard to start opening to more of your feminine when your own inner masculine is toxic as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
That was my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like not only was my feminine so far repressed and like I would go in and try to access my femininity and it would feel empty or it would just be loneliness. Like that was
Mm-hmm.
all I would experience if I start tapping into my femininity at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was my feminine. That's like where I started with working with her. But then I also had a super toxic masculine that would judge her body so much, that would objectify her just like the patriarchy taught him to.
Mm-hmm.
So my inner masculine had to mature as well, in order for me to experience more femininity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, my toxic, I guess, inner masculine before healing sounded like those were all like mostly they were like 80% manager parts,
Mhm.
80%. And then like the firefighter parts were the shadow feminine. Like
Uh,
that bitch going out there sleeping with 2 men in one day, type
oh,
of
okay.
thing. Yeah. You know what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying? Like
Yeah.
that was, yeah, that's so
Mhm.
interesting. That's,
Mhm.
mm,
Mhm.
mm,
Yeah. It's so rich.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mm.
y'all. So if like, I'm gonna close it up. Do you have anything up for you that you want to add, or you feel like we're complete?
No, actually I feel pretty complete. Yeah, this was a good conversation.
I think it's a continuing conversation because I think it's so, I think you mentioned, I can't remember what word you used, but it was very dangerous for me. Like the waters that I was in before, um, even though like me, like again, like holding space for people and being trauma informed and healing my trauma and putting myself in situations to heal my trauma. I still like those strong ass parts came up again and be like, oh, this is what you're supposed to be. Like, oh, that you're supposed to be more feminine. So all right, bitch, let's be more feminine. But it really, really costs so much override,
Yes.
so much
Yeah.
re-traumatization.
Yeah. And yeah, I guess I think this is the last thing that I want to say to honor that, because I fall into that trap too. And anybody else that falls into that trap, I just want to affirm that if you're a feminine being, you have the goddess in you. You
Hmm.
have your flavor of goddess. And it's not about trying to mimic whatever everybody else says your goddess should be like or what their
Hmm.
goddess is like. You've got your own, and
Hmm.
she's inside of you and she's never left. It's
Yes.
just a matter of finding her and unearthing her and letting her teach you how to embody her.
Heal queen, heal
Hmm.
queen. That's
Hmm.
all. Just
Yeah.
heal.
Yeah.
Easy as that.
It is that.
Yeah, right.
Simple as that. Simple is not
I
always
know.
easy.
Yeah, that's true. Thank
Yeah.
you. Good
Yeah.
check. Good check. Oh, that's so good. Yeah, let's continue this conversation. I feel like it's rare again, like this whole thing about personal development really speaking to like the manager parts of us. I think it's my gift and my duty here on earth to really unearth those exile parts. And I feel like you're in that realm too, which is I think why we gel. So
Yep.
let's lend voice to those really, really like hurt and wounded parts of us. And so yeah,
Mhm.
find your own femininity. Find your own femininity and allow yourself, I guess, to be put in situations where you can't control something so you can heal, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one way to do it for sure.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's unavoidable sometimes.
Mm, yeah, that shit keeps knocking.
Yep.
Oh, you're amazing. Thanks for coming on the show, Jordan.
Yeah, thanks, Lily. This has been great.
My pleasure.